not really. I'm still, yeah. I understand that like the change. Yeah, I'm a bit too rational on this point that I don't think that like if I would feel too concerned about it, it won't help solve anything. It would just make me feel worse. So why bother being concerned? But I have like somewhat too high emotional control. If I don't feel like, why would I feel why would I like react to this if it makes me feel worse? I won't react at this. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually that very helpfully helps me segue into these next questions, one of which is just to ask, are you feeling concerned about COVID-19? Why or why not?
I still think that despite, of course, the like awful stuff that like people die, suffer, and families suffer, and so on, despite this, I still think that socially it will end up being almost like net positive in terms of like how people become more aware about how fragile our like society is, how fragile our environment is. It's like now, like how much pollution decreased during first months of lockdown and stuff like this. Like, yeah. So it like reduces like arrogance of like humanity as a whole, if like in a figural way, but nonetheless. And I think it helps. Like ideas of UBI, like now even like most of the conservatives like received this kind of stuff as well. So it will be hard to say, oh no, it's devastating. Like, was it devastating or was it helpful? So yeah, I think like it will end up like net positive on a global scale. Although like I don't want to say that like the costs justify this result, but like we don't choose it, just happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's not that bad, so to say.
Okay. And do you feel susceptible to catching it? Do you think you could catch COVID?
I think yes. Moreover, like I have like funny thing about this because like in terms of health, I'm more like in a group of risk. I kind of don't want to. On the other hand, I like don't care enough to be super cautious because like it's not worth the effort for me, so to say. Yeah, like I'm not risk averse person in this regard, and like I even although I have no idea whether it happened or not, I even bought like tickets to Russia in late November, and even the border is not open yet, and in Russia like number of cases and everything is way worse. But I still kind of like I think like it's a high chance, like high, not like 80%, even not 50, but still like 10 or 20% chance that like from just going there, I will like likely get it, but we'll see. Hopefully not, but we'll see.
Right. Now, have you already had a COVID test at all throughout this whole thing?
No.
Okay. Now,
maybe I should, but I didn't research how it's done. And, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just interested about this. Like, would you try to get a test before you travel?
If it can be done without like too much of a hassle, most likely yes.
Okay.
Because it also will save me time because if I travel to Russia, at least by like current rules, I will be forced to test as soon as I arrive.
Okay.
Yeah, and I kind of like trust Russian tests a little bit less. So, okay. And they say if I test before and I have like paper whether I was like recently before flight was healthy or already had antibodies, then I won't need to quarantine or do the test in Russia.
Right, I understand. Now, if you did have cold symptoms, what would or you sort of maybe thought maybe you did have it in the next couple of months, what steps would you take?
I did have some cold symptoms, I think 3 or 4 times since February, and I did nothing.
Okay.
I mean, like I did nothing, yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably not the best scenario, but because I'm still very, not very, but like somewhat uncomfortable with like Canadian healthcare system because I just like don't know how it works properly. Like I don't have like family doctor or stuff like this. I have no idea how it works. I just like know that if something bad happens, I would Google and search like how it works. Like I have my OHIP, I used it once for stuff that I like regularly have to do, like to check my heart, but it was established like way before. Other than that, like, I have no idea, and I know it's not hard, but kind of like lazy to try to get to understand how it all works here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know we've asked this question before, but do you know people that have caught COVID, like family members or friends?
In Canada, no. In Russia, a few dozen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what have their outcomes been?
Yeah, everybody had a pretty light.
Okay.
Yeah, like in like distant, like there are some death on like distant acquaintances, like people like I've met once on some party and so on, and somebody told me that he died. So, something like this. Yeah, there are some people, but from people that like constantly in my social network, so to say, no.
Okay. Now, do you have an estimate as to when all this is going to be over?
Depends on how we define over. If we say like over like completely, I don't think like we will ever be the same as before. I think it already like it would influence the world way more than like 9/11 influenced the world. And like after 9/11, like air flights never were the same as before 9/11.
Right.
Like same after this, like social distancing and like some other stuff probably will never come back completely to like complete ignorance. And yeah, and I don't have like strong opinion whether it's good or bad. It's just like I don't think it will be the same.
Yeah.
And in regular that like we can just like relax somewhat and somewhat get back to regular stuff. That like I mean like the vast majority of people will continue to work offline unless they choose to continue to work online. University will remain. Will go back to offline and stuff like this. Stuff like this maybe by summer, something like
Okay.
that.
Yeah. Okay. Now, you mentioned you sort of alluded to this a little bit, but what are you doing right now to avoid contracting COVID-19?
Well, except for like some like obvious, kind of obvious, at least how I perceive it, stuff like wearing a mask when I am in public spaces and sanitizing my hands after touching stuff in public spaces. Other than that, pretty much nothing. Well, I avoid like big gathering, but it's also like kind of don't happen, so I don't actively do anything. Well, I will probably reject if somebody offered me to go to a big gathering, but it's not that like I actively avoided it, just like not something on the table, so to say. Yeah, I to some extent stick to my bubble.
Okay.
Like I expanded it a little bit since when like the idea of bubble was introduced, but still, yeah, like I contact like at most with like 15 maybe people or something like this. 15, yeah. So
yeah,
if that can be considered, but also it's not that like I actively forced myself to do something like this. That's just like kind of natural in the like like social ecosystem we have right now. Unless you're like trying to break out, like it's not that like it will be otherwise, so to say.
Yeah. Now, are you living in a region right now that's gone back to the modified stage 2?
Yeah, I'm in Peel region in Mississauga. Okay. So yeah, like it's back to stage 2. It was a little bit sad, but not too bad.
Yeah. Okay. I was going to ask, like, how are you feeling about that? Has that actually affected your day to day?
A little bit. I'm more concerned about like some small businesses, including like some of my friends who have small businesses, because that's actually extremely devastating economically. That like they allow you, especially if people have something like restaurants and so on, like they allow you to reopen. Then 2 months you're working, then you close again. Like basically it's economically worse than you even weren't reopening, because like you put back money like to stock up and stuff like this, now throw it away again. Like, and it was very sudden. All they say that it's just like, okay, like 2 days before I didn't know it would happen. Now they say it's happening now, like at midnight. And yeah, like I'm not very happy with that. but like that's more like not on a personal level because like it doesn't affect me, but like I like feel for some